Well, I see we have a message that the Lieutenant Governor might be a few more minutes late, so we'll get started with the agenda. If everybody's ready, we'll move the steering committee co-chair agenda item to later when the Lieutenant Governor comes. Lauren, would you like to start on the coordinator updates?
Sure, no problem. So one minor change to the standing agenda is for agenda item B. I changed it from coordinator to coordinators because Rita is the G3 associate coordinator, and she's been helping me a lot with things pertaining to the dashboard and data. So I just wanted to make sure that she had this time too, where she could explain things from her role as well. So my first update before I get into what's on the agenda is that I'll be off island from June 24th until July 9th on vacation. So any inquiries or questions you might have, you could still email me, but I might not get to it right away. But you can also email Rita if you have any questions pertaining to the working group, steering committee, or action framework or dashboard. So Rita, I will make sure that you have Rita's email if you don't already have it. So going into the updates in the agenda, the G3 Action Framework version 2 has been accepted and signed by the Governor and Lieutenant Governor. That was as of last month. We are still in the publishing phase for the framework. So we're just like updating some of the graphics before we put it into a final digital format and printed format. So there will be a limited number of printed copies that will be available, but we will make sure that everyone in the working group will have a copy emailed to them, and we will have the framework posted on the G3 website. Moving on, the G3 Action Framework next steps to be completed by September 2021 by annual meeting. So there's still some things that are ongoing that we haven't started on yet. One thing that has been completed is the identification of secondary and tertiary indicators. So Rita and I worked on that. And I'll get to data again in a bit. But what I wanted to make sure to talk about today is that we still need to hone in on some of the targets that still need a little bit more clarity and definition that are in the framework. So for instance, putting like a definitive percentage or value in some of our targets, so we know how well we are on track to accomplishing the goals that we set out for ourselves. So in the G3 Action Framework working document that everyone should have now, all those targets that should be better defined are highlighted in orange. So your teams need to work on that between now and September. There isn't too much in terms of things that need to be further defined, but it's a priority thing to do, especially when we start having more data input onto our dashboard. Next, it would be great if we could make sure to keep track of what action items have been completed in the G3 Action Framework. There are some that I know just from working with you all that have been completed, but you know, this is a very big working group. We have nearly 100 members working on various projects and action items. And we are spread across over 82 organizations and agencies. So that's a lot. So it's just, if we could figure out a way to keep track of everything as it's happening, rather than following up once every 6 months, I think that would be a good strategy forward. So a way that I envision us doing this is if we stick to having team meetings for each of the teams at least once a month. The only teams that I know of that have standing meetings are Healthy and Prosperous Communities, which meets, I believe, on the last Thursday of the month. and then the Sustainable Alliances team, which meets bi-weekly. So if we could establish at least a monthly meeting for Sustainable Hut and Educated, Capable, Compassionate Island and Thriving Natural Resources. I remember hearing from Banji that Thriving Natural Resources was having a meeting at some point, but I didn't know if it was a recurring meeting. So I see Brent, and I know Banji is on, and Dr. Okada. Have you considered when are good times for having recurring meetings with your team?
Not yet. So we just been swamped. So I will get something and then send it over to you. I'll try to get something from the group to see if we can have a standing meeting.
And we can have your clearinghouse assistant help with that as well. I believe you have Ken.
Yeah.
Yes. So
okay.
We can make sure Ken helps you with that.
We had a meeting after our last meeting, but we haven't put every Wednesday or something. So I will send an email out to our group, and then Candace, I know she's on, she can help us to remind people to start participating.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Vanji. Okay, and I'll work with the Sustainable Hut leads and Rob on establishing a more regular meeting for the Sustainable Homes, Utilities, and Transportation team. Oh, and we have Vince on the call as well. Sorry, I didn't see you there.
Hi, thanks, Art. Yeah, I've got it. I'll get together with Brent and we'll set up regular meetings. We see each other at different board meetings, but we haven't gotten together to get something more concrete with our G3. So Brent, I'll be giving you a ring and we'll get the committees together, our committee together.
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect, great. Okay, so moving on to G3 dashboard data collection. As part of the email you received today with the agenda was a draft memo. So I'll share that. Please let me know if you don't see the memo on your screen. Okay, so the memo is considered a draft still because we need to input the names and titles of the department heads. So this memo is supposed to be something that Rita and I will be working on, and I hope we could get the help of the clearinghouse folks. We want to make sure that the agencies who have been identified as the appropriate data collectors and holders of all the metrics that we're tracking with the G3 dashboard, that they're aware that we need some data from them and that someone from their agency can be assigned or designated to work with us so we could have a streamlined process of getting data from them. So yes, in essence, this is just to establish a POC from the agencies and organizations that have the data. We're hoping that we could get a POC from each agency or organization established by next week, Friday. That seems ambitious, but I think we do need to start on that because we would like to set up meetings with the POCs by mid-July when I get back, and just work with them to figure out what data they do have that is represented in the framework. Maybe we didn't title it properly, maybe it needs to be revised in some way, maybe they have other pieces of information that could really paint a better picture of the progress we're trying to make on Guam. So that would be someone who can help us figure out the data, and we'll be working with them closely, and then we'll eventually send them a whole, like a spreadsheet with a listing of all the data that we would require. And then they just fill it in and send it to us. And so this way, you know, it's more established. And there's a second page for the memo. So it just has a little bit of the background of G3 at the bottom of it. And we just hope that they'll fill in this information here with a designated POC and an alternate in case you know, someone's sick or goes off island or someone's busy. So are there any questions with this or any concerns? Quickly, I just want to thank Lola for suggesting this route. So we met, based on Lola's recommendation, we met with Monica Guerrero from BSP, and she just like gave us some advice on data collection protocol with the agencies. So we pretty much copied some other formats. So we figured that this was something that was familiar to the agencies already. Okay, so if there's no concerns, Rita and I will reach out to the clearinghouse representatives to figure out just the best way to get these memos to the agency heads.
Lauren, I'm just going to point out something in the memo because I did send you something in the message.
Yes.
BSP
okay.
is listed, so we just need to update that to reflect on the second paragraph.
Oh, I see. Feel free to assign your current data point of contact for BSP. Oh, I see.
Okay.
Oh, so I guess this was supposed to mean that if they already have a POC that they work with to give data to BSP, that they could assign that person as well. I could rephrase it so it's clearer. Because I see why you would be confused. I got confused rereading it. So I could update that so there's not that confusion.
So are there two things that you're asking? So whatever data, yeah, can you just kind of, you're also wanting them to send the data, the point of contact to BSP as well?
No, if
right?
they already have someone in their agency who works with BSP to give BSP data, then they could assign that person to us as the point of contact.
Oh, okay.
So we're only asking for one point of contact to help with the G3 data collection.
Okay.
But I'll update that sentence to be clearer. Anything else?
I just wanted to clarify that. Lola, is that something that happens right now, that that each agency has somebody assigned to provide data to BSP, or is that only for some agencies?
Well, you know, it's actually really only specific to the, like for the compact impact report, there's certain POCs that we deal with, and this is with the planning information program, as well as there's certain, I guess, data sets that are produced by BSP, but we have specific POCs from the government of Guam line agencies that we deal with, but it's not all data.
Okay, so maybe that is just going to be confusing, since it's not like a common thing that there's somebody that's that there's like each agency has a BSP designee, is I guess what we're thinking here with that line. So I think we should just take it out, Lauren. And
okay, I just leave it as your designee in the G3 working group or another representative.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. So our goal would be to have these sent out by Monday. Okada.
Do you want us to wait for it or just submit the info?
You could submit the person if you want to. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, but this will probably be good for formalities.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Dr. Okada. Okay, so that wraps up my update. Anyone have any questions otherwise? Okay, so we could go ahead and move on to the next agenda item as we're still waiting for the Lieutenant Governor to join us. So now's the chance for the team leads to give any updates.
Well, I'll go ahead and share, but we were supposed to have a meeting last month, Friday. So our meetings are actually scheduled, Lauren, at the last Friday of the month. So we were supposed to have a meeting Friday, but there was an emergency, so family emergency, and I had to, request it to reschedule. But what I did do prior to informing everyone the meeting date, I did send out the email to everyone regarding, I guess, to the group regarding the G3 committee meeting minutes, along with the most up-to-date G3 action framework, and then the flyer regarding the listening sessions. And I did inform the group, which was the plan, was to actually, two things, was to just inform everyone of the added groups that were added, which was the goal HPC 1.5. I guess the new things that were added to the healthy and prosperous community. And then addressing the next step, which was to take a look at the highlights in orange in the metrics column, and that information was basically supposed to have been, I guess, updated. So we were supposed to discuss this at the last month's meeting, but because we didn't have one and we didn't reschedule, we'll probably address it in June.
Thank you, Lola.
Hey, Lauren, I have a question. This is Vince.
Sure.
It looks like this budget year, the appropriations committee might take a lot of the funding away from the mayors and give it to DPW for the collection of junk cars and junk vehicles. And we know that that's several thousand a year, probably a couple thousand a year that we collect. Is there anything in our plan that addresses something like that, or what we can do with these junk cars? Is there any kind of program that's sustainable, so to speak, that we can do with these junk cars, short of there's recycling them back into scrap metal. I've always thought, although I know it's very expensive, I've always thought they would make wonderful, depending how clean you get them, they would make wonderful man-made islands out there, especially for fishing grounds. But environmentally, that's almost like close to impossible to do. But we're going to be collecting 2, maybe 3,000 cars a year, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Is there anybody on the call or anybody else know what we can do to something like that? Because short of that, I'm just going to be stockpiling them and possibly, what's that? Getting crushing them and just stripping them off of the different types of metals and plastics in them, and then because we're left to the price of steel right now. That's why nobody is really taking them off island, because nobody wants scrap steel. There's no market for it. So I'm just wondering if there's anybody in the panel or anywhere in our plan that addresses something like that, or something even close to that, or is there a committee that needs to go after that, or is it my committee?
Well, can I just say, let's not put artificial reefs in the ocean, because isn't there that grant that's removing all those tires next to Cocos Island because they thought that was going to work, and doesn't seem to work. It's kind of counterintuitive for this group, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so no cars in the water.
I don't know, Vince, but if there's a company who can do it and turn it into something else, we'll give them a qualifying certificate and they won't pay taxes.
Yeah, yeah. And well, the thing is, none of the recyclers really want to do it because there's no money in it. So that's going to have to be. It might have to be something that the government does. You know, in the meantime, and then we just stockpile everything until the price of steel goes up, and then all of a sudden we've got a windfall somewhere. But until then, we gotta. And of course, on top of that is enforcement, right? People just shouldn't be having junk cars around their neighborhood. Angie, you're still in Pago Bay, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I understand. I've been told by some neighbors that we have to go and take a look. I've been told that there's a house there that's got a zillion junk cars.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Yeah.
I was going to say that I'm one of the proponents of if we really value the limited land that we have, then we make the capital investment to try and deal with the waste and, you know, not rely. I think there was a time where we could rely on making profits from the recyclables when there was demand, but at this point, we're going to have to figure out some innovation to handle them on island. If I'm not mistaken, is there not a deadline for us and does this apply to everything where the United States is no longer allowing transshipment of recyclables or solid waste from its shores to foreign countries? That's I understand that that's a big issue, and I have to recall the name of the agreement, but it seems that there is a crisis that we have at our hands in dealing with it. So we, you know, at the very least, you know, we need to come up with a way to dispose of them and store them perhaps in property that is already damaged and might be filling up some of those holes that were created from the aggregate that's being used in construction. But I do think that we need to figure out a way. I just tell you this: in meeting with the Solid Waste Authority, they do not see themselves as the advocates for ensuring that recycling is part of solid waste plan, although the statute would say otherwise. Their pressing thing is dealing with the operation of the sanitary landfill. And they feel that they need to focus their efforts on what is not recoverable and come up with and I guess some people would critique it or describe it as, you know, that's just the basic business model of landfills. But I'm one of those that if we really value the fact that we don't have too much property around town, then we need to figure out the best possible way to preserve the property. And I'm big too on getting these junk cars out of the public areas and causing harm everywhere, and trying to figure out how to mitigate the problem here. But yeah, anyway, okay. I'm sorry I came in a little late, so sorry, Vince.
No, not at all, Gov. Good to see you. That's all I had. Food for thought.
Okay, Lieutenant Governor, we were just in the middle of updates from the different teams, and then we'll go back to our steering committee co-chair updates at the end. Any other team members, team leads that would like to share some updates? Okay, if not, we can go to you, LT.
Actually, is This one is for Dr. Okada. Mary, I wanted to refer and ask if your committee can reach out and connect with Marie Lazama, who is now the Business Service Unit Head at Guam Department of Labor. I just kind of like wanted to, I had a meeting with that group yesterday, and my thinking is that we really needed to maximize the different programs that are coming out and being funded with the additional money with pandemic, but really trying to maximize all of the different programming that is out there. But I just, I'll set up something up, or if you can reach out, I think they're gonna reach out to you. So I didn't want you to I just kind of wanted to inform you that I had instructed them to do that. And I do think that it's going to result in some projects or activities within your focus area. So that's the only thing I wanted to mention for Mary. But other than that, I just wanted to apologize for being late. Thank everybody for the work that they're doing, and trying to figure out what other ways we can try and offer support to the different committees. For the health side, and Lola's on, maybe I'll have a sidebar conversation with her. There's a lot of, actually, you know, that there's a lot of attention going on with public health, and there is a huge pot of money that is coming through the pipe that Tyrone, and I know you probably know about it, that probably gives an opportunity for some big picture thinking with the Child Care Development Block Grant Program, where we're going to be in 3 different pots. I think it's nearly $80 million that is going to be available, focusing in on childcare, trying to get people back to work by providing childcare, including for those that are outside of the income areas. So it might be critical essential worker designations or new employees that we look at, but there's also an opportunity. And I was talking to the Guam Department of Education about this, whether or not there's a jump start in early childhood development plans over at Guam Education. So that's another one I think for Mary to take notice of. But I think that, but we're investing a lot of time and effort in the public health side. And so maybe what we'll do, Lola, if you can, I'll ask Rob if he could schedule some time for us, because there's also some work that we're doing on the Medicaid front. I'll just say this, that we're very happy that the Biden administration is proposing to resolve some longstanding disparity issues with Medicaid funding and SSI funding for the territories. And he has already included in his fiscal budget to fully fund and include citizens from the territories and residents of the territories for participating in these entitlement programs. So it seems that a lot of the work and some of the barriers dealing with the poverty issues, at least there's going to be some funding streams open. And I'm sensing that soon public health will be in a situation where they need to step up their eligibility benefits game to try and get in there. The American Recovery Act contemplates and suggests that states and territories consider having navigators that are going to be available to help individuals fill out forms and get access to these programs. And I'll just say, from clearly the public health operation is not up to the staffing levels that are required to deal with what's going to be the next phase of the pandemic recovery, with the ending of the PUA and the movement to get people back to work. I'll also say, just on the labor side, I've met 3 employers that are having problems getting people to work because of the PUA issues. So, we're talking people in the hotel industry, in food and beverage, and in some retail. So there are jobs, vacant jobs right now. Looks like when the PUA ends, those jobs should be filled, but there's going to be a good portion of them that are not. So I think that, Maria, if you heard me earlier, if you can touch base with Marie Lazama, do you remember her? She used to be over at Delta Airlines. she's in charge of the business services unit now at Guam Labor. And yesterday I met with her and asked her to meet with you and actually to get actively involved in the G3 effort, trying to kind of maybe connect the dots. But on the entitlements, you know, the people that can't work and the ones that are suffering because they don't have support for their disability status, it's very promising, including in permanent removal of the Medicaid cap for us to help on that front. Last thing also that I wanted maybe to, this is for Lola and for Mary, over the last few months I've been working a lot with the superintendent of education, trying to come up with a strategy for some school-based healthcare programming. And I think the basic idea is trying to perhaps upstaff those schools that are servicing the high poverty areas, the Gil Baza, Gil Breeze, and use the Guam Department of Education nurses as in the front line to start referring patients and get them signed up into the public health northern clinic and the southern clinic for those down south. So we've been working with Dr. Okamura from, who I think you know, Mary, from University of Hawaii, who was, for the education folks, he was part of the rollout of the E-rate for the schools, and he is a public health, UH is a public health technical consultant for their healthcare centers. And we've been talking about designing a framework for school-based health partnership. So I guess maybe what we'll do, Lola, is if you could, I'll ask Rob to schedule some time so I can touch base with you and maybe some of your leads. And I think we're that, now that we're rolling out of the pandemic, we're pushing more policy people into Guam Public Health that I think it's time for them now to take a very active leadership and active coordinating position in your focus area. That's it for me.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I have some updates here from our Guam Green Growth team at the Center for Island Sustainability on what we have going on. We're excited for the launch of the Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps program that kicks off next week, Wednesday. So I know you just mentioned there were quite a bit of job vacancies around the island, but good news is that we've seen through the Conservation Corps program that people are looking. We received 250 job applications for 12 positions. So we really had to sort through that. It took a while to do the review process and interviews, but we found a really great group that we'll be introducing to the island next week. It's really representative of our society, we think. There's a recent high school graduate, recent undergraduate, somebody that just got their bachelor's degree. There's a retiree, several people that were laid off during the pandemic, a small business owner that's not making as much money as she used to. There's an artist. So there's a really nice variety that we can, and also ethnic and gender diversity, that's all included in this group that we hope will inspire the rest of our island to be working on sustainable action. So we're going to have a variety of different projects for them to work on. The purpose is to help prepare our community for the emerging green economy. So there will be aquaculture, agriculture projects, circular economy things. GPA just agreed to do some energy audit training for us so that they can get a certificate and then take that on the road and do a couple of projects in real houses or government buildings. So, and one common thread that will happen every week during the Conservation Corps program over the next 5 months is every Friday, we'll have a cleanup in a different village. So Mayor Alec, President of the Mayor's Council, is putting the schedule together. So we're starting from, we're starting in Tamuning because that's there's a coastline there, and we're going to do one cleanup on the beach for World Oceans Day. But from there on, every Friday we go from Jigo down south. And so we'll make sure that we have a volunteer form and getting the word out that volunteers can join us anywhere along the way for that project. There's also going to be things like tree planting and a few other projects. So that's the Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps that will be happening over the next 5 months. We have the Guam Green Commit program that we mentioned before, and this is like our badge program that businesses can earn if they're committing to the Sustainable Development Goals. And if you recall at our G3 biannual meeting in April, we awarded the first early adopters, which were the mayors. And now I think we're up to about 12 mayors that have committed to this, earning the badges for no poverty and zero hunger. And we're rolling this out to local businesses and other organizations. So that's moving along nicely. We've also ordered, or actually the purchase orders are finalized for the 20 recycling bins and 50 waste bins that we'll be putting in the mayor's offices and around a few different parks. So we will be reaching back out to our partners on the Island Beautification Task Force at DPR, and also you, Mr. Areola, over at DPW to get these bins installed. We need some help securing them to concrete pads and things like that. So we went around with Pep Canata and Roque Alcantara previously. So those should be on the way in 2 to 3 months, fabricated and on the ships over Fraipan. We're copying the program that MENA, the Micronesia Islands Nature Alliance program, had done. We're also making progress in our other project going on. Miracle Mogul is our Guam Green Growth Circular Economy Coordinator, and her and the makerspace attendant, Aaron, are having equipment arrive for the G3 Circular Economy Makerspace and Innovation Hub at Chamorro Village. So 3D printers are here, CNC routers and laser cutters and other pieces of equipment are on the way. We hope to have a soft opening sometime in July so that we can begin some activities on those machines, but start the education program already with that content. We're bringing in our partners from GITA and SBDC and the School of Business and Public Administration over here at UOG. Hopefully have all of those business resources ready for entrepreneurs to avail of, and hopefully create and expand businesses in the circular economy and contribute to the economic growth. And let's see, we also have the Guam with the 3 community garden almost ready to go. We met with Vice Speaker Munia Barnes to confirm that our MOU with the legislature is still good to use the property right across from the post office in Hagåtña. And then Guahan Sustainable Culture is our partner to implement this. So we're expecting, once they have their AmeriCorps program positions filled, then that will be the labor force that creates the community garden right there in the capital. So we're looking forward to that. Mr. Areola, I want to mention you again. We need some help on figuring out how to hook up water over there. So I think as the former executive director of the legislature and at DPW now, you might know the simplest way to get a water line hookup. Otherwise, we're going to have to buy some water tank storage to put on site to make that garden possible. And so, Angie, if you got waterworks tips for us too.
I'll check with them. I'm sure there's a water line there. So I'll get back to you on that.
What's that, Mr. Areola?
Yeah, where specifically?
It's the old Department of Administration building
On
area.
Of course, there's a water line there. Remember, there was a building there.
Yeah, I'm sure
No,
there.
no, we took everything out. So there's only one water line there right now, and that's right behind the old museum. But I'm sure there's major water lines right around the building area that we can tap into.
Okay, that would be great.
So I'll follow here how that can happen, like what they would require. Who is? Do I just have them contact you, Austin?
Sure.
And then can I mean, this is GWA. This is my GWA hat now. Who's paying the bill?
The legislature.
The legislature? Okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be good.
Their property.
Okay.
Good luck. You're gonna
I'll
have
just
homeless
say-
stealing your water, taking a shower at your
homeless-
community garden.
Homeless need to drink water, Mel. We just need to make sure that they shower elsewhere.
Well, it's also an interesting design, right? There that Guam Sustainable Culture has come up with that with the trellises and things, it kind of secures itself. So, and the plan is also to engage the homeless in or the houseless in these activities to have some ownership in it. So hopefully we will have some success in that. And if people take the fruits and vegetables, it's not the worst thing if people are eating. So that's something we'll be happy to contribute to.
So
All right.
I'll talk to Miguel about how maybe this is some partnership that we can have, or GWA's contribution towards this.
So free water would be excellent. Thank you.
I don't know about free water, but at least the installation of the lines.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
got it. So those are the main updates that I have for everybody today. Thank you very much. And also thinking about the cars, maybe Miracle's connections to the makerspace, the maker community that she's facilitating may have some ideas, and maybe we can do a pilot project on how to make better use of the abandoned cars. Any questions? Oh, could we have Kyle, if you don't mind? Kyle's our Assistant Director for Communications now here at G3 and Center for Island Sustainability, and Luella has also joined him on our team. And we just want to make a pitch out there for getting your G3 related stories from your agencies and organizations to feed those into the G3 social media and website. Kyle, if you want to mention how we can help with that.
Most definitely. If there's anything that you've got going on that definitely contributes towards the SDGs or the overall plan for G3, just shoot me an email and I'll put it in the chat. And as Austin mentioned, we've got a great team here. Amanda de Catoria, Luella Lucinio joins us now, and Mr. Matty Miguel is also here. In terms of support for video or photos to accompany the content creation process, we've got it all in-house and we're looking forward to working with you. So if you've got anything like we mentioned that'll contribute towards kind of getting the goal move forward and we can help with it, we're here for you, okay?
Yeah, like Dr. Okada's new electric vehicle. Maybe that's something we can highlight as well.
That is a great idea. We should race electric vehicles. Yours versus
well, she already has more miles than ours. Ours only gets like 40 miles, so 350 is gonna. She'll win the. GCC is gonna win the endurance race.
Yeah.
I think everybody's scared to get in it and use it right now. They just did a demo on it last week for some folks, but I don't know if anybody's actually taken it for a ride.
Pick me up and I'll ride with you.
There you go.
It's not bulletproof, sir.
I don't. Gosh, I hope they're not going to be shooting at me. It's okay. I'm bulletproof.
I will schedule something so you can take a ride, or you can have a ride.
Dr. Shelton, is there a way that maybe a good story would be about around the world businesses, entrepreneurs that have circular economy types of businesses, just to give people examples of what can be, how you can turn something into something else? Because I think we've all heard the green banana paper story like enough times. So if we have something else that people can apply here, that would be great, because then we can kind of apply it to the services like our QC or loans or GUMA or whatever grants and programs we have. But I think people need a little inspiration. And maybe that might be a nice public, just a couple stories, or just about things that have happened elsewhere to remove waste from the waste stream and turned it into an entrepreneurial endeavor.
That's a great idea.
I have a running list of that I've been using for the classes I've been teaching, so I'll get on with Kyle.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
like
to highlight the
Common House.
qualifying certificate program that you would love to put more attention on that, so people are
Yeah,
taking
you know,
advantage
like
of it.
exactly. You know, like for example, if clothing, if there's someone doing something really great with recycling clothing, I mean, everybody, I mean, I think that there's the crafter aspect of things where you take something and turn it into something else that you sell at like a crafts fair, but to really have a business that you could scale, that would be especially interesting, I think, and important for people to be aware of, to maybe apply to their job, or maybe apply as an approach as they're getting a business off the ground.
Great idea. Any other ideas and comments that we could be working on?
If anything comes to mind again, I'll just put my email in the chat so you can copy and paste it from there. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I think at some point I'll connect you with Kiko Palacios here, because I think we're just about, we're nearing the completion of our second barrel vault photovoltaic walkway. And so the first one, or the first segment, opened up, I want to say right in the middle of COVID. And so this is our second segment. And we will further expand. So basically what it is just it's a covered walkway that has the PV that actually feeds the lights, or feeds the power to the lights for that walkway. So this is our second segment in the college, or at the college. And so I can connect you with Kiko so you can probably talk about that a little bit.
Yes, please.
Okay, sounds like that's it. We're meeting time. Is there anything else from anybody? All right, we'll see you next meeting. And I guess for me, Lola is, I'll be scheduling, Rob will schedule something so I can meet with you, and maybe you can bring a couple members of your team. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.